Yo, JD here, and as you can see, we are back on F1 22 as always, and we return with our Hotlap and setup series. This time arriving in the Netherlands, aka Zandvoort, and this is actually the first time I've driven the track on the game. I hadn't touched it until today, which is the 3rd of August, and quite surprising because it's been one of my favourite tracks in the past, but it's also been one of the most technical as well. So I was definitely excited to do this. Was pretty satisfied with my time in the end because we have had a pretty major handling update with the recent patches, and I feel that TT is not as significant now as it was. And what I mean by that is the setups do need to be tweaked a little bit more for online, and just because you're fast in time trial doesn't mean you're going to be fast online, because in time trial you don't have to manage your tyre wear, your tyre temperatures, anything such as that. So it's feels like I'm playing a different game entirely because you're pushing at 100% all the time, whereas online now you really do have to manage the car much more. So with that in mind, this setup here is definitely much more focused to be successful online. And what the main difference is between my setup and the others around me, or the few people ahead of me, is that I'm running a lot more downforce. So that's going to help with the tyre temperatures, and it's going to help with the tyre wear around this circuit, because obviously you don't get tyre wear in time trial. So as the laps go on with a higher downforce setup, that will play into your favour much more. And one thing to note as well with this setup is, with all my setups that I've done so far, please start with minimum tyre pressures. So this setup is great for online and time trial as well, but with the tyre pressures you'll see at the end of the video, make sure you run minimum and then simply increase until you get to 97, 98 and not above that for the race itself. And we complete this lap, it's a 1 minute 10.026, puts me P7 on the leaderboards, and I was very happy with that. So as we start the lap here now, going into this turn 1, no real braking zone, but just before the 50 meter board, or where this white patch of the track and the grass is, that is my braking point. Take a lot of speed and keep it nice and tight through here. Don't let the car go too out wide on this exit, so avoiding the curb. And then coming into here, as your wheel is completely straight, that is my trigger point to start reacting. So I downshift into 5th gear, try and kiss this curb on the inside just to drag the car around, carry as much speed as I can. So it was very shortly flat out going into that. Stay in the middle of the track and then short shifting into 4th gear just to minimise that wheel spin. As the car's straight, that's where you go completely flat out. Thread the car through here completely flat out, and then as you go over the top of this hill, I'm using this black box as a reference, but it's once I pass that is when I start braking and turning in. So once I pass that, keep it nice and tight here. So really crucial, do not hit this curb on the inside, otherwise it will auto spin you. And then on here, you can run on this curb, but don't run on the top layer, so run on the lower portion of the curb, otherwise it will unsettle the car. As you come through into here, very similar for the exit of turn 1 to turn 3, keep the wheel completely straight. That is your trigger point to downshift. Going into here, miss this curb on the inside, you want to just kiss it ever so slightly. As you go through this corner, try not to run on this curb too much. A little bit is fine on the lower portion, but not on the upper portion. And just before the 50 meter board, that's when you want to be doing your maximum lock. Really tight to this apex. Use all the track on the exit. Aim for the 50 meter board here, and once you're in line with that, that's where again you want to be doing your maximum lock. Try and keep it nice and tight here. I short shift into 5th gear to minimize the wheel spin. Avoid this curb on the exit because that will hinder the traction. Make sure you get on the DRS as well. Now coming to chicane, bit different on this game. As the curve starts, that's why I start braking. But coming into chicane, you can take a lot of curb. It's very smooth through here, so it doesn't really unsettle the car that much at all. So the more you can cut it, really the better the lap time will be. Coming through into this one, try and hit an early apex and then another late apex, avoiding this curb on the exit, making sure you get some great traction. Now into the final corner, want to be looking at the 50-meter board, but it's really just as you pass that, that is your braking and turning in point. Staying in 5th gear, again, to help with the traction. Avoid this curb as much as possible on the exit. So just the lower portion, so not that upper portion. So always avoid the upper part of the curb, the outside part of the curb. Nice and tight to minimize the distance. Get the DRS once again. And going across the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 10.0. And I was very, very happy about this setup. Has got a lot more downforce than the others around me. And I think it's going to be much more user-friendly online. So I was very content with that. Didn't take me too long to get the time as well, which I feel is always a good sign when it comes to doing a hot lap and a setup. So as we go into here, we are running, if I can read that correctly, 38 wings. Everyone else around me, I think, is running 41, so quite a bit lower on the front wing. 60-52, so not all the way on the off throttle, because I don't want too much over rotation in the slow speed corners. That will stabilize the car. 7.4, 6.5, 7.5 seems to be a bit of the norm now, where the front suspension roll bars are a little bit higher, maybe 1 to 3 clicks higher than the rear. Same with the ride height, and these tire pressures here are good for time trial. In the race online, as you can see here, I always suggest starting from minimum, because especially around here, tire temperatures are a thing you need to control. So put them to minimum online. If you want to do a time trial, then this would be good enough for that. But online, I'd always start with minimum. And then if you're not hitting 97, 98 degrees on your tire temperatures, then increase it, because you want to run as high tire pressures as you can, because that will give you more grip into the corners. But there's a point where it becomes too hot, and then you'll just get chronic understeer. So I hope this is useful for you. Hopefully you're still enjoying this series. Not too many tracks left here to go now, and yeah, I was very happy with this overall. So hopefully you're enjoying the game, and I will catch you very, very soon. Peace.